News Talk 820 WBAP, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. I'm going to share some things with you. We have brand new, quote-unquote, shocking social media posts of the Trump attempted assassin, that terrorist who was given a good solid dirt nap by Secret Service snipers. That's brand new. Several posts that are disturbing. I'll share with you in a minute. Let's play a little audio as well. I also have information about the Secret Service turning down local drones repeatedly ahead of the July 13th rally with Trump where he was shot at, according to a whistleblower. Repeatedly turning it down. Why? Because it was Trump. I know it. I'll share what the details of that report say in a moment. Also, this is another insane and horrific thing. Ready? Local cops, according to the New York Post report today, they report local cops are refusing to share info with the FBI as they suffer a crisis of confidence with DEI hires, damning whistleblower report finds. Police officers and sheriff's deputies on patrol, detectives investigating illegal activity in their jurisdictions have unparalleled visibility to street-level crime. However, here's what they say. The group, House Judiciary Committee, an alliance, this came in a letter from the Alliance of Retired and Active Duty Agents and Analysts. A damning report on this $10 billion agency's cult of narcissism delivered to the House Judiciary Committee on the FBI as they stonewall Congress. This is from an Alliance of Retired and Active Duty Agents and Analysts from the FBI. Here's what we got. The FBI, the same group gave us a scathing DEI report last year about the FBI's degraded recruitment standards, coddling of physically unfit, mentally ill, drug-taking, generally useless agents to satisfy diversity requirements at the expense of merit and experience, the New York Post is told in this report. This time they've assessed the entire Bureau, FBI, and drawn several worrying conclusions that local law enforcement partners have developed a disturbing loss of trust in the FBI, as I have and most of us have, and therefore are reluctant to share information with alarming consequences for national security and public safety. Police officers, sheriff's deputies on patrol have their unparalleled visibility to the street level crimes. It says when this information is not immediately shared with the FBI, they are left to address the complex evolving threats facing the United States within an unacceptably vast and debilitating blind spot because they don't have enough personnel and resources to see it into every corner of the country. Now, are you surprised to hear that the Secret Service may be just as bad as the FBI in that regard? People hired for the wrong reasons, people who are unqualified hired, like that Secret Service agent who was guarding, it was one of the females put in there by that 30 for 30, we want 30% female by 2030, put in by the now disgraced former fired Biden handpicked, and Nurse Jill Biden handpicked, what's her name, Cheadle. That was just resigned after both Democrats and Republicans destroyed her publicly in a hearing and said you're incompetent. This is your fault. You should be resigning. Then she resigned within 24 hours after she had no legs to stand on. But Nurse Jill was still a big fan. You know that. Nurse Jill put her in. Let's hear some audio. This is one of the new videos coming in.
This is the guy
Yes, Beaver County sniper seen and sent the pictures out. This is him.
Okay. The bike in the back. Is he on that bike?
We don't know.
We don't know. So
I don't know.
Treating that as suspicious device.
Correct. 1 second. I believe the sniper that seen these and sent the pictures is right inside his building.
That's what they're trying to figure it out. You got the locals interacting with the Secret Service ex post facto, right after the fact. You have also a new Trump assassination audio that came in. video shows 8 shots at Trump by the terrorist and 2 by the Secret Service, the first one taking out the terrorist. I want to say I sat down with a friend for a couple hours, had a wonderful conversation with him like I always do face-to-face. He shoots a lot. He was airborne, and he's not an expert, but he shoots a lot more than I do with rifles. And he described how incredibly, pathetically easy it is to hit a head at that distance. And I'm going to tell you something. As I talked to my friend about it, we're both total Trump supporters, etc. I became enraged. I had flashes of enraged anger because this was totally allowed to happen. You know, some of these liberal idiots on fake news literally are saying that Trump's ear got hit by shrapnel. Do you know that? Do you know that FBI Director Robert Ray? Now, I'll say this. He says, "Well, we don't know for sure if it's the shrapnel." He like entertained that a little today, or from questioning yesterday. I'm like, how vile. He should say, what he should say is, we don't know because we don't have the ballistics test done or something. But actually, it's enraging to me. Like, I know he can't lie and say it was a bullet hitting his ear, but I mean, does anybody believe it's not? That's not a Trump hater? It's so disgusting to not just say that. I don't care if it's Obama, Carter, or anybody. This is horrifying and disgusting. And I do totally 100% believe the Secret Service didn't give Trump the same treatment because he's Trump and he's not Biden or Harris. In fact, this came out today. My questions for you is, what kind of faith do you have in the FBI and Secret Service? Why would you think this looks intentional? Because my friend said he totally thinks it was intentional. I'm going to say this. I think it was intentional to leave the guard down because they hated Trump and said screw him, and they laughed about it. And for so many years, he didn't get shot at, and they finally were like actually living what they had been talking. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And why have you lost your trust in the Secret Service and the FBI? I think this, I told my friend this, I think that 60% of everybody in the FBI and everybody in the Secret Service are Trump haters. That's my just guess. It's a guess. There's no evidence. It's just a guess. I think that 40% are people like you and me that vote more Republican or support Trump, or at least don't hate him, and don't ever want to do anything to him negative. And I think about 60% upper echelon and on the rank and file, because they've been hiring people like that mentally ill woman, but it was a woman for Kamala that got into a fight or drew a firearm or something. And then she was arrested and fired. That's what you got. And people like that are hired to hate. If they hire people that hate Trump, hate them, hate Republicans. And why would you trust our FBI Secret Service to protect Trump, Republicans, or you? I don't. You know why? They spied on conservative Catholic churches. The FBI did. They targeted them in that letter. They target parents who speak up against the radical LGBTQIA plus at the meetings. When they cover up boys raping girls, when boys wear skirts and rape girls, and then gets transferred without getting arrested and reported, and they transfer him to another high school in the same district in Virginia, and he then sexually assaults another girl. And then he's now been prosecuted for covering up his guy who's transgender with a dress raping girls. Raids on conservatives who protest abortionists. Remember that guy who's his wife and him got at gunpoint, and they dragged his 9 kids. He's a Catholic out of the house at gunpoint with the rifles. The FBI did, all because his son was getting bullied by a abortionist, and he stood in front of the abortionist and pushed him a little bit. Grandmas who protested abortion clinics arrested and jailed for protesting abortion. The January 6th lie that it was an insurrection when nobody had a weapon and the only one that died was an unarmed protester. The prosecutions and jailings of grandmas and people at jail who just trespassed and should have been given a fine and a ticket and a warning. If you ever do anything like this again on federal property, you're going to go to jail for 5 years versus being put in jail. A lot of those cases are now being thrown out because of the Supreme Court decision recently. A lot of people are going to be freed because of that. Reports said the other week, a week or two ago. And now we have a shocking social media post of the Trump shooter. I'm going to share that with you. And now we also have a brand new report from Fox News. Secret Service turned down local drone repeatedly ahead of the Trump July 13th rally. A whistleblower says. Are you shocked? I'm not. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. All right, what kind of faith do you have in the FBI and Secret Service to protect Trump, Republicans, and you? And why would you think it looks intentional that the Secret Service may have taken their hand off of Trump in protecting him? I mean, does it look intentional to you that they let this assassination attempt happen? Or is it just incompetence to you as we learn more and more and more, and it just gets worse and worse and worse? I mean, you don't honestly think it's just her, do you? Cheadle, the director who resigned, the disgraced former Secret Service director, she was handpicked by Nurse Jill Biden because she liked him because when he was VP for 8 years, she protected Biden and she loved her. So Nurse Jill's the one who put her in charge. Nurse Jill's around the White House, not Joe. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Also, the local police refused to share info with the FBI because there's a crisis of confidence. A brand new report says that, and these are people that put together a report every year so far by last year, this year. These are retired and active duty FBI agents and analysts. It was delivered to the Congress, this report. Here's what we got on the local cops, a little bit more on that. They are not only reluctant to work with the FBI, but reportedly decided to no longer share actionable, substantive information on criminal and other intelligence-related activity with the FBI. Most concerning, the Alliance of Whistleblowers says it is a crisis of confidence in FBI-led task forces. Relationships with local cops have deteriorated to the point of imploding, in some cases because of poor management by the FBI and ineffective leadership by the FBI. Local cops say their precipitous loss, this is from the New York Post today, their precipitous loss of trust in the FBI triggered by its excessive response to the Capitol riot of January 6th. Followed by the raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. One source, 25-year veteran sergeant in the Major Crimes Division of a large police force in a western state, said they cannot understand why the FBI is not going after far-left militant group Antifa, BLM, and pro-Palestinian rioters with the same vigor they brought to bear against J6ers. Another source, 15-year veteran cop from a southern state, said many local law enforcement officers believe they could be targeted by the FBI and the DOJ because of their love for the United States of America and may be perceived as a domestic terrorist because of how they vote. That's exactly right. Plummeting morale, the pressure placed on local law enforcement to assist with J6, it's the headline, plummeting morale in this New York Post story today. The pressure placed on local law enforcement to assist J6 cases in their areas has impacted morale within these agencies and led to a belief the FBI has been contaminated by partisan political agenda. You dang right. Sources believe the FBI leadership would exploit any information provided them to the law and the constitutional rights of the suspects who are under investigation, as well as innocent civilians. One said the FBI's behavior was that of a third world country. The Bureau should be dismantled, its personnel prosecuted, and given long prison sentences. Exactly right. All right, 800-288-WBAP is our number. Curtis in Dallas. Curtis, hi, WBAP.
How you doing tonight?
Good.
Yeah. I believe it was total setup. I mean, 30, 40 minutes, they knew the sniper was there on the site, and he's climbing the roof, and people was pointing at him, climbing the roof. They could have took him out right then, but yet they let him take shot.
Look at this. Go ahead, sorry.
Do you know what shot hit Trump? I know there's like 8 shots. Was it the first or last shot that hit Trump?
I don't know. We know one of the other bullets taken by Bloomberg News was a bullet trail that was like 2 feet long because it was so fast. You know, the snapshot got it from Bloomberg News. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, this man had 8 bullets shot at him. Actually, the first 6 or I don't know the exact amount, 4 or 5 were right around his head and his body. The last 2 or 3 or 4 were rapid fire, like just random ones. She's trying to get it out there and kill him.
Wow.
That's what killed the other people. That's what killed the firefighter Corey Comparatore and severely wounded 2 other Trump supporters. One gentleman who was just released from the hospital, thank God.
Yeah. This would have never happened if that would have been Biden up there. That guy would have been taken out.
Yes. Is this going to surprise you? Listen to this. Secret Service, Fox News reported today, turned down local drone repeatedly ahead of Trump July 13th rally. Whistleblower. Local law enforcement repeatedly offered to provide drone coverage. Local law enforcement, you hear this? Repeatedly offered to provide drone coverage in the sky above former President Trump's rally, where he survived that fatal assassination attempt, but was rebuffed by the U.S. Secret Service, according to Josh Hawley, senator, citing a new whistleblower. The night before the rally, the whistleblower says the U.S. Secret Service repeatedly denied officers from local law enforcement partner to utilize drone technology to secure the rally. He also said this means the technology was both available to U.S. Secret Service and available to be deployed to secure the site. Secret Service said no. By the way, you know the terrorist flew a drone a few hours before the Trump rally. You know that? He flew a drone over it. And he flew a drone. A 20-year-old terrorist who tried to kill Trump and almost did, very close to a millimeter away, flew drones an hour before so he could figure everything out so he could kill that man. That's what that was. Let me finish this off. This raises the obvious question, Hawley writes. Why was the Secret Service not using its own drones? Because they do every time with the president. They use bomb-sniffing dogs. They didn't use them this time. The Secret Service didn't ask for local partners to fly their drones till after the shooting was over. And a counter-sniper took down the gunman. According to the whistleblower, he further alleges that the shooting took place. When it did, Chief Secret Service changed course and asked the local partner to deploy the drone technology to surveil the site in the aftermath. There you go. Let him die. Then look around. Appreciate your call, Curtis. Keep it up. Nathan, Saginaw, WBAP.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know the first thing about securing the president or anything, but the very first thing that I would see that should be secure is rooftops and high windows, simply because of the Oswald ordeal.
You know what? I talked to my friend today who, like, as I said, he knows a lot more about this kind of stuff than I do. And because he said, yeah, I said, how is it? He said, I understand that shooting from above is the best way. He goes, yeah, he explained to me why. It's the trajectory of the bullet. You don't fight gravity. So the bullet stays on course much easier going down. Plus, I think it's probably easier to see.
Oh, yeah, definitely easier to see. It looks like the hardest thing to guard would be a crowd, inside a crowd.
Yes.
Where somebody might get a shot. And to follow up, in my mind, it all led up to this. Him being tried to thrown in jail and all that, and then they finally figured out, oh, my gosh, he's going to get in. We got to do something. And that was their final attempt.
All right. Well, I appreciate you. I got to roll, so you think intentional. I appreciate your call, Nathan. Thank you, brother.
All right. Adios.
Adios. Okay. Park Police chairman blames Joe Biden for the terrorists running wild in the streets and vandalizing statues and taking down American flags from monuments and burning them and putting up Hamas flags right there on those monuments. That flew over the D.C. yesterday while Israeli PM Netanyahu spoke. All right, the protesters that were in D.C., have you seen them? Have you seen what they did during Netanyahu's speech? I told you yesterday that these same, they're not protesters, they're Hamas supporters, and they're rioting. They physically beat cops. You understand me? I saw it. It's on video. It's on my Twitter feed, at Chris Krok Show. And that's at Chris Krok Show, ChrisKrok. Look at this. These same terrorists, and they are terrorists, they wrote in spray paint, Hamas is coming, on the Columbus Fountain. And on the Liberty Bell, they wrote, F Israel, the full word, Free Palestine, stop funding genocide, all sorts of F this, F that. They're standing on it. They're dancing on it with the Palestinian flags, these sick, wicked, satanic terrorist supporters. And they were in their kafayas. Bibi Netanyahu was brilliant today, or yesterday, at his speech. I want you to hear this. He is so amazing in this speech. But I want you to first hear the protesters. This came out today from yesterday's protest. Listen to this. You ready? This is not Hamas protesters. This is not terrorist-loving Gazans. 72% of all Gazans love what the Hamas did to the Jews on October 7th. They love them raping the women, and one of the men came forward yesterday. One of the first Israeli men who was kidnapped by the terrorists was raped. He was a man raped by the gay-hating, gay-killing Hamas terrorists. They raped a man. They are Satan. They are Satan incarnate. That's just all it is. They're evil. They're pure evil. Hamas is satanic, and 72% of every Gazan, after they raped, killed, and slaughtered and kidnapped the Jews, were done. A survey was done afterwards, and they still support 72%. 3/4 of every Gazan loves slaughtering Jews. They love raping Jews. They love slaughtering babies and raping babies. They love cutting women's breasts off in front of them and laughing, raping them, and then gang raping them when they're done. They scream, they yell, and they shoot them in the back of the head while they're raping them. That's Hamas. They are Satan incarnate. And Hamas is coming was written on the Columbus Fountain, and then the Liberty Bell as well. And then this is in D.C. This came out today. Listen to this. This is not in Gaza, where 3/4 of them love killing, raping Jews.
Israel bombs, USA pays! Israel bombs, USA pays! How many kids did you kill today? How many kids did you kill today?
I want to ask you a question. Do you think these are Kamala voters or Trump voters if they're going to vote? Who do you think they want to vote for? Do you think they were Biden voters before Biden's stance on Israel came out with the war? I do. I do think they're Democrats. I think they're Biden voters. And then when Biden supported Israel, they hate him. Call him Genocide Joe. They love Kamala. Have you ever heard these terrorists say Genocide Kamala? Have you ever heard them say one bad thing about Kamala? Kamala said, are you ready for this? Kamala said these Hamas supporters, not the ones in D.C. yesterday, but she says these young anti-Israel protesters are, quote, this is on July 9th, guys. Let's do the math on July 9th, 2024. Let's look at our calendar and go the magic way back time. This is literally 7, 14, 15, 16 days ago. Vice President Kamala Harris said in a new interview, young anti-Israeli protesters are showing exactly what the human emotion should be. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! And then what else? Hamas is coming. F Israel. Well, there you go. She praised them. 14, what did I just say? How many days? Let's see, 9th. Sorry, I got 7, 8, 7, 14, 15, 16 days ago she praised them. Listen, I strongly believe that our ability to evaluate a situation is connected to understanding the details of that situation, okay? The trucks are taking flour into Gaza. But here's the thing. I like to cook. I say to my team, you can't make S-word with flour if you don't have clean water. So what's going on with that? I ask questions like, what are people actually eating right now? I was asking earlier on, what are women of Gaza doing about sanitary hygiene? Do you have pads? I care about the vajayjays. I put that part in there. And these are the issues that make people feel uncomfortable, especially sanitary pads. Remember, 3/4 of them want to slaughter Jews, rape them. They support that. The young anti-Israel protests are showing exactly what the human emotion should be as a response to Gaza. There are things that some of the protesters are saying that I absolutely reject, but I don't mean to wholesale endorse their point, but we do have to blah, blah, blah. She is the most pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian supporter there is. Yet today, she, quote, condemns the pro-Hamas protesters who burned the American flag in D.C. Do you know what they did? They literally beat police in the streets. You heard one of the audio cuts of that. I believe I played one of them for you. I got to ask my questions now before it's too late so I can take your call immediately. At 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I could go on forever, and I will, but I want to get these questions out and have you call and chime in right now. Line's wide open. What type of candidate do you think the Hamas supporters who attacked and rioted yesterday would support? One like Kamala or Trump? And what evidence have you seen that would make you think Kamala is more in support of Hamas than Israel? I think she absolutely 100%, listen to me closely when I say this. I think Kamala's positions are more in line with Hamas. Like, not the ones she publicly states now. Some of the ones she's publicly stated, but I think also who she is in her track record aligns more with Hamas than Israel. 100%. She believes in the whole BLM. She donated to them, supported the riots and burning down the Minneapolis police station. Remember that? They burned it down to the ground. They abandoned it. She supported that. She gave money to that. She bailed out 2 guys who would end up killing people and 1 who would end up raping somebody. She thinks that's social justice. This is all in line with the people who hate Israel that are rioting the streets yelling Allahu Akbar. So what type of presidential candidate, or which presidential candidate would Hamas supporters who attacked cops and rioters yesterday, who do you think they're going to support, Kamala or Trump? What evidence have you seen that would make you think Kamala is more in support of Hamas than Israel? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. By the way, she also publicly championed in an interview, heard it in her own words from an interview on Hannity last night, or either last night or the night before. And she said, I support the protesters, and they are a movement. And it will go beyond up to the election and after the election. That's what she supported. The beating of cops, the rioting, the burning of police stations, burning them down to the ground. The highest crime on record ever after the BLM riots that year. And donating money and putting on her Facebook, getting $46 million. She publicly supported giving money to the terrorist BLM. And it was always praising them. So this is who the Jew haters and the Hamas lovers are. And I believe she aligns more with Hamas than she does Israel. How about you? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Chris Krok Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Also, I have a little bit more on the FBI and their bias in this brand new report from current and former FBI people and why the local law enforcement across the country are not working and cooperating with the FBI at all much anymore because they don't trust them. More sickening things on that. We're in a bad way right now. And, guess who the United States Park Police chairman, where the riots happened and the cops were beaten there yesterday, the Kamala voters? Guess where the U.S. Park Police Union blamed? Guess who the union blames for staffing issues on the anti-Israel terrorist Hamas protests yesterday? By the way, you have to understand, they took down American flags. The terrorists did. They took them down from the monuments and they burned them and they put up Hamas flags. They put up Hamas flags over United States Capitol at monuments where they were rioting and beating cops yesterday. You're not going to believe this, though. They blame Joe Biden, but why? Again, the same thing's going to happen with Kamala. It will not happen with Trump. You know it, and I know it. 800-288-WBAP is our number. I call those Kamala voters. And I also call them Biden voters. They were Biden voters unequivocally. They were not Trump voters. If they voted, which most of them, I believe, do vote when it comes to a choice between Trump and Biden. And I do believe they're strongly going to turn out more so. I'm talking about not all young people at all. I'll share that in a minute, why that's actually very true now, according to CNN's own pollster yesterday or 2 days ago. I can't remember which day it was, but I have the audio too. I could play if you want. But they are these rioters and Hamas supporters who chanted Allahu Akbar in the audio just came out today. They are Kamala Harris voters. She is more in line with Hamas than Israel. And everything changed when she said she's running for president. When she was nominated by the billionaires and elites that control the Hollywood and the billionaire elites that control the Democrat Party, they installed Kamala without one vote for her because they don't want you to vote for Joe, even though you did. But before she was coronated by the rich left in charge of this country, in charge of the party, she was her record is the most pro-Hamas. She never supported Hamas publicly, but her policies, I should say, were the most pro-Hamas rather than, more so than pro-Hamas than Israel. And I'm going to share something from the U.S. Park Police. It's Joe Biden's fault that the Capitol Police were beaten and why the riots happened with impunity yesterday. According to the police union at the Park Police, I'll tell you what they said yesterday. The lines are wide open for you right now to chime in at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. What type of presidential, which candidate do you think supports the Hamas support? Man, I got to say this over again. I'm sorry. Bass backwards today, okay? Which candidate do you think the Hamas supporters who attacked and rioted yesterday, which one do you think they'll support, Kamala or Trump? Maybe you think it's neither, but I don't. I think it's Kamala. She's gonna attack Israel a lot more than she'll ever attack Hamas or ever, and she'll never say anything negative of Gaza, who 3/4 of their population supports Hamas after they raped and murdered and kidnapped all those Jews that day on October 7th. And what evidence have you seen that makes you think Kamala is more in support of Hamas than Israel? I gave my litany of it in the last segment. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Lines wide open. We do have time to take some calls for the next 3 minutes. Meantime, this also came out today from Fox News. U.S. Park Police Union Chairman blames Joe Biden for staffing and the administration. Joe Biden, who leads the administration. So Biden administration for staffing issues during the anti-Israel protests. The head of the Fraternal Order of Police for U.S. Park Police says it was disheartening to hear members of the Congress and media say the officers gave anti-Israel agitators a pass yesterday. The chairman said law enforcement made several arrests despite having only 29 officers available with no additional help from the Department of Interior. That's why it's so disheartening to hear some members of Congress and members of the media, many who describe themselves as champions of law enforcement, suggest officers gave the protesters a pass or that insufficient arrests were made. Nothing could be further from the truth. He says they arrested only 10 people while being assaulted by a mob of thousands. 29 officers were arrested by a mob of thousands. 29 cops versus thousands of terrorists. You see this? That's Joe Biden's administration, and that's Kamala Harris. Did she denounce the protection there? That's her. She's a lot more on board with Hamas than she is Israel. She needs those votes. She wants those votes. She needs, and she's going to get the jihadi vote in Michigan. I'm talking about the radical Islamists, the Jew haters, the Hamas supporters like Rashida Tlaib. And though she may never publicly say I support Hamas, she does. Everybody knows it. We all know it from her record and from her language and her everything she's done, who she's been affiliated with from day one. She's the only American, Gazan American, who's ever been a congressperson, and it shows. It shows that she is from a population of 3/4 who loved what was done to the Jews on October 7th. In the New York Post interview, the chief said protesters started to throw objects, had a very strong smell of feces. They threw feces at them. These brave police officers. If you see the video, it's on my Twitter feed at Chris Krok Show. That's at Chris Krok Show. CHRISKROK yesterday. You have a young, really handsome police officer who was dealing with terrorists on the ground when some of them came up behind him, grabbed him, threw him off, and beat him slightly. It's horrifying and it's disgusting. It's filthy. It makes me so angry that our cops are treated that way by terrorists in this country who yelled Allahu Akbar. The Interior Department and National Park Service have stood in the way of Congress action for the U.S. Park Police Modernization Act, which would solve many of these for decades to come, he said. Okay? God help this nation, pray for it, and God help America, and et cetera. It's just very sad to see this all unfold.